Hi guys, it's me Terry of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. I got permission by Patricia Heller, who is the designer of the educational baby ball. I will pop in a picture right here of what this project is going to look like. So thank you, Patricia, for giving me permission to make a tutorial on how to create this awesome project. Okay, so this is going to be a series of tutorials. I will be filming and releasing it in pieces. The first part of this tutorial, I'm going to talk about the materials that you need, or the yarn that you need. Now, I'm going to be doing it in a number 3 weight DK acrylic yarn. I did see it in worsted weight. I saw a picture of it in worsted weight, and it is an awesome project. But if you use worsted weight, it does come out quite large. So I'm going to be doing mine in DK weight because I want to try to see if I can get it down a little bit smaller. Okay, so the DK or number 3 weight or baby weight yarn that I'm using is bits and pieces that I have different colors taken out of Lion Brand mandala cakes that I had already. Also, I discovered that I have some of these Lion Brand bonbons. Just a tip here, that they are seem to be the same weight as the sections that I took out of mandala cakes, and so I'm going to be using these two because I had quite a big array of colors in these Lion Brand bonbons, and I haven't used them yet, so that's what I'm going to be using. Okay, and you also need to have a white. You need 12 colors for the panels that you're going to be using. This is the color I'm going to be using today. And then you need a white. This is Bernat Softy Baby Sport, I think, in white. Okay. You need a hook. You want to go down several crochet hook sizes than what the yarn calls for on the label. I'm going to be using a 3mm crochet hook, okay, because like I said, I want to try to get it down as the stitches tight and small as I can. If you're using a worsted weight, you could go down to like maybe an E or an F hook, which would be like a 3.5mm or a 3.75mm. You can just see how yours is working up depending on your tension. If you crochet tight or loose, you may need to adjust your hook size, but you do want to have your piece to be pretty dense, so that way you can stuff it and you don't have stuffing poking through or showing through. Okay, and of course you need scissors and a yarn needle to weave in ends. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so this is going to be in continuous rounds, so you're not going to join at the end of the round. It's just going to be, it'll be like a spiral, okay? And it's going to be, the stitches are going to be multiples of 5 because it is a 5-sided figure that we are creating. Okay, so I'm going to start with a magic circle. You can also, if you don't want to do a magic circle, you can also chain, put a slip stitch on your hook, chain 2, and then work into that first, the second chain from the hook, which is the first chain that you created of the chain 2, and that should be fine as well. Okay, so I got my magic circle made. Now I'm going to do make 5 single crochets in that ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and I'm going to pull on my end there to tighten my circle up. Okay, and that was round 1. Okay, and like I said, we're not going to join. We're just going to be working in a spiral. So the next thing you're going to do, oh, I'm sorry, you also are going to need a stitch marker. I usually don't use stitch markers until I get further along in my project. I usually just count, but you will be needing a stitch marker. Okay, So on to round 2, we're going to do an increase in each of the 5 stitches that we just made, okay? So an increase is just 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So we're going to go from a stitch count of 5 to 10, okay? So 1, 2 in the same stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that's the end of round 2. Okay, going on to round 3, now we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you should have 15 stitches when you get finished. So 1 in the first stitch and then 2 in the next stitch, so that would be 2 and 3, whoops, okay, 2 and 3, and then 4, and then 5 and 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, 10, 11, oops, 11 and 12, and then 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so now I have 15 stitches around, okay, and that is the end of round 3. Round 4, we are going to do 2 stitches, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch, and that's going to take us to give us a stitch count of 20 when we get to the end of this one. Okay, so if you want to, we can go ahead and start using a stitch marker now. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and that's my first stitch of the round. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my stitch marker to mark my first stitch, and then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, and now I'm going to do an increase where I'm going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then I'm going to do that all the way around. So 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, so 1 in this one and then 1 in the next one, and then we're going to do an increase with 2 stitches in the same stitch. Okay, so repeat that sequence around, and I will meet you when I get back to the beginning. Okay, so I've made it around to the beginning again, and you should have 20 stitches all the way around your project now. I'm going to remove my marker and go on to the next round. Now, in this round, which is round 5, we're going to single crochet in the first stitch and then replace our marker. Okay, and then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch and single crochet in the next stitch. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches, 1 in each stitch, and then we'll do an increase of 2 stitches in 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Okay, so that's going to give us a multiple of 5. We did 3 single crochets, 1 in each, and then 2 in the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then we're going to do that all the way around. So one more time with the sequence. We're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So we did that 3 times, and then an increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Okay, and then repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end. Okay, so I made it back around again, and I now have a total of 25 stitches all the way around. I took out my marker so then I can go on to the next round. So round number 6, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to put our marker in there. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So that's 4 times that we're just doing singles. Okay, and then we're going to do an increase with 2 in the same stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, so we're going to do 4 singles. So 1, 2, they're all single crochets, 3 and 4, and now we're going to do a double or an increase with 2 stitches in the same stitch. Okay, now you're going to do that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get back around. At the end of this round, you should have 30 stitches around. Okay. Okay, so I've just made my way around to the beginning again, so I'm going to take out my marker, and going on to round 7, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, replace our marker, okay, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, that would make 3, and then 1 single crochet in the next one, that's 4, 1 single crochet in the next one, that's 5. So now we're going to do 5 singles, okay, 1 single crochet in each stitch, and then we're going to do an increase for stitch number 6 and 7, okay, which is 2 stitches in 1. 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. Okay, so now we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So we're going to do 5 single crochet, single stitches, where we're going to do 1 single in each stitch, 5 of them, and then in the next 5 stitches, and then we're going to do an increase of 2 single crochets in a stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around, and at the end of this round we should have 35 stitches around. Okay, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I've just reached back to the beginning again, and now I have a total of 35 stitches around my 5-sided figure that I'm creating. So now I'm going to take my marker out. Going on to round 8, we're going to single crochet in the first stitch, put our marker back in, oops, like that. Okay, and then we're going to single crochet 1 stitch in each of the next 6 stitches. Had to think about it a minute there. So 6 stitches. So we already did the first one, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch, which would be stitches 7 and 8, and that's going to be in 1 stitch. Okay, and now you're going to do that sequence all the way around. So 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and then an increase in the next stitch, which would be 2 stitches in 1. Okay, and at the end of this round you should have 40 stitches around. Okay, I will meet you when I get back to the beginning. Okay, so I made it back around to the beginning again. I'm going to take my marker out, and going on to round 9, I'm going to single crochet in the first stitch, put my marker back in, okay, and then I'm going to single crochet 1 stitch in each of the next 6 stitches, because I've already done 1, so that's 1 an additional 6. So you're going to have 7 altogether, okay? So that was 2, 3, whoops. Split my yarn. Just a minute here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, and then I'm going to do an increase in the next stitch, which would be stitches 8 and 9 in the same stitch. Okay, so you're gonna repeat that sequence all the way around. It's going to be 1 single crochet in each of the next 7 stitches, and then you do an increase in the next stitch, which would be 2 stitches in 1. Okay, so I will meet you when I get back to the beginning. Okay, so I just made it all the way around again. That was the end of row 9. I have a total of 45 stitches all the way around my shape here. I'm going to remove my marker and we're going on to round 10. Okay, so in round 10, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each in the next 8 stitches, and then do an increase in the 9th stitch, which would hold stitches 9 and 10. Okay, so but in the first stitch, after I do the first one, and then I'm going to replace my marker. Whoops, everything fell out there. Okay. Okay. So that was stitch number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and then I'm going to do an increase in the next stitch, and that will hold stitches number 9 and 10 in the same stitch. Okay, and now you're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. Okay, so 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches, and then an increase of 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And at the end of this round, you should have a total of 50 stitches around. I will meet you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I just finished round 10. I'm at the end of the round. I have a total of 50 stitches all the way around. So now I'm going to remove my marker. And then going on to round 11, I'm going to now do 1 single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches, and then an increase stitch in the 10th stitch. Okay, so making the first single crochet, so then I can put my marker in there. So this is number 1, and now I'm going to replace my marker. Whoops. Okay, so that was number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I did 9 single crochets in each of those stitches, 1 in each stitch, and then I'm going to do an increase which will give me stitches number 10 and 11 in the same stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to repeat that sequence around, 1 single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches, and then an increase stitch in the 10th stitch, right? So we do that all the way around. You should have a total of 55 stitches around. Okay, I will meet you at the end of the round. Okay, so I've gotten back to the beginning again. I'm going to remove my marker. Going on to round 12. Yeah, I had to check on my notes here. Okay, so round 12, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. Yeah, and then an increase stitch in the following stitch after that. Okay, so I'm going to do the first stitch, and then I'm going to put my marker back in. Okay, so that was number 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now I'm going to do an increase by doing 2 stitches in one, so 11 and 12, okay? So we're going to do that all the way around. So 1 single crochet in the next 10 stitches, and then an increase stitch, which is 2 in 1 in the following stitch, okay? And we're going to do that all the way around, and then at the end of this round we should have a total of 60 stitches all the way around, okay? I'll meet you at the end. And now I have 60 stitches all the way around. Now this is the last round that I'm going to do with this green color, and then we're going to change colors, okay? I'm going to remove my marker. Okay, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 11 stitches, and then I'll do an increase in the stitch after that, okay? So 1, and of course in this first one, oh, let me do that one again. Looks like I split a stitch. Okay, 1 there. Okay, I'm going to put my marker in there. Okay, and going on, that was stitch number 1 already. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and now I'm going to do an increase, which would hold stitches 12 and 13. Okay, 2 stitches, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 11 stitches, and then an increase of 2 stitches in one for on the 12th stitch. Okay, and then at the end of this round you should have 65 stitches all the way around. Okay, so keep doing this sequence and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I made it around back to the beginning. This was the end of round 13, and now we're going to do a color change. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to allow myself probably 4 or 5 inches, something like that, and I'm going to cut my yarn. Okay, I'm going to remove my marker for the time being. Okay, so now the way I'm going to fasten off, all I'm going to do is slip stitch into the next stitch, which would be the first stitch on the next round. Okay, I'm just going to slip stitch just like that, and then I'm going to just pull my yarn through. Okay, so that is the way I'm going to fasten that off. Now I'm going to get my white yarn and I'm going to join my white yarn. Now, when I did a color change, this is where my color change was on this one that I did. I like to do it this way because it helps not to have such a big difference in the color change. It's a little bit different. You can see where the color change is, but it's not as noticeable. And that's usually the way I do my color changes. Okay, so I slip stitched into the first stitch, okay, of the round 13, round 14 is the next one we're going to do. So the way I'm going to attach my yarn, I'm going to do, instead of just slip stitching it onto my piece, I'm going to put a slip stitch on my hook, attach my yarn to my hook, okay, with a slip stitch, okay. Now, I have the loop on my hook. Now I'm going to pick up my piece and I'm going to insert my hook from the front to the back into that first stitch, which happens to be the same stitch that we slip stitched into when we fastened off. I'm trying to get this out of the way here. Okay. Okay, so the same stitch that we fastened off, we're going to insert my hook from front to back into there. Okay, and now I'm going to work over the tail of the green where I fastened off, and I'm going to bring a loop through, and then I'm going to do a single crochet. I think this is called a standing single crochet or something like that. Okay, but what I'm doing is I'm joining with the single crochet. Okay, and I like doing it that way. It seems like it's it kind of helps where you don't see much of a noticeable difference of the where the color change is. And if you do, then these tails that you left, you know, the beginning tail of your white and then the tail that where you fasten off the green, you can use that to kind of smooth up that transition. So I will show you that after we get the white on there a bit, and then I'll show you how you can kind of fix that color change. Okay, so now going on for round 14, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my marker into this stitch, the white stitch that I just made, because that is my first stitch of the round. Okay, and now going on for round 14, we are going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. Okay, so this is the first one that we made already, the one we joined with. And now, so that was number 1. Counting on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay, and then now we're going to do our increase stitch of 2 stitches in 1, and that would be stitches 13 and 14 in the same stitch. So 13 and 14. Okay, now we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So it's 1 single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches, and then a increase of 2 single crochets in 1 in the next stitch after that. So I will meet you back when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I've made it to the end of round 14. So going on to round 15, I'm going to remove my marker. And in round 15, it says to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 13 stitches, and then we will do an increase stitch, okay? So 1 single crochet in each of the next 13 stitches. So there's the first one. Now I put my marker back in. So that was number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so now we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 13 stitches, and then an increase in the stitch after that. Okay, and so I will gonna do that, and I will meet you at the end when I get there. Okay, so I've just finished round 15. And at the end of round 15, you should have a total of 75 stitches all the way around your piece, okay? So I already took out my marker. Going on to the last and final round of this piece, round 16, we're going to single crochet in each of the next 14 stitches, and then do an increase in the 15th stitch, okay? So 1, and then we're going to put our marker back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, now we're going to do our increase, 15 and 16 all goes into the same stitch. Okay, so we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around, and at the end of this round we are going to have 80 stitches all the way around our piece, and I will meet you when I get to the end. Okay, so I just got to the end of round 16, and so now I'm finished and I'm ready to fasten off. So I'll take my marker out and I'm going to just slip stitch into the next stitch, okay? And then I'll just leave myself a few inches, don't need too much here. And then just pull the yarn through to fasten off. Okay. Okay, so if we look back at our color change, you can see right there that you can kind of tell there's a difference there in our stitching. So what you can do, if you're not happy with that, then what you can do is I will take my green yarn, the tail where I had where I did the color change, put it on my yarn needle, and then I'll just try to smooth that transition out a little bit. Just by putting a few stitches in there just to kind of trying to even it out. See how that works? So you just play with it a little bit until you get it to the way you like it. Okay, so I think that works pretty good. I mean, you can still see a transition there, but I think it kind of evens it out a little bit. You can also go back and get your white yarn if you think you need to fix that, or straighten it out with the white a little bit. I'm just going to yarn my tail where I fastened off and weave my end down in there to get to the point where I can use that tail. Kind of like that. See? So I think that looks pretty good. And then as far as weaving in the ends, this is going to be a piece that's going to be stuffed, and so any of this stuff in the inside, you're not going to be seeing that. You can secure them down a little bit, but you don't have to, there, okay. You don't have to worry about having to hide the ends. I mean, like totally hide them. You can trim them off a little shorter if you want, but all that's going to be on the inside of the ball. Now, you see that dip that I made right there? Now, that is not going to show. That's just from where I pulled the yarn out. I could stretch it a little bit. Okay, so that's not going to show because we're going to be, when we get all these panels made, we're going to be crocheting them together to make our ball. And so, you won't be able to see that. Okay, so that is all the tutorial for today. Now you need to make 12 of these and just do different colors. I'll show you some of the ones I have. I have these two now, and then I have pulling out a sack. I even have tails hanging from them still, but see, I've got some different colors. I believe I have 6 of them made now, so I need to make 6 more. Yeah, that's all of them. Okay, so just start making your panels. Like I said, you need 12 of them. You don't need to have long tails. I was thinking that I needed leaving a long tail, and so for the first few that I did, I left a real long tail, but you don't need to do that because we're going to be crocheting the panels together. And so like I said, get working on them and make 12 of them, and then I will come back when I get ready to start putting the 3D features on the panels, and then we will go work together and make each one of them, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you come along with me and make this baby educational ball for a baby in your life, or for a gift, or for friends, or to sell, or whatever you want to do. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, guys, and have a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.